Okay, it's recording. We're good.
All right, the participants are coming in.
Good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait another 30 seconds or so for a few more registrants to join the event. Let's see. Yeah, let's get started. Want to get started, Debbie?
Sure.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. Together with my colleague, Kristen Kelly, my name is Dave Fatizo, and today is our second edition of what we like to call Talking Business with Long Island Leaders. This morning, we have a very special speaker, and that is Newsday publisher, Miss Debby Krenek. We will talk about what Newsday did to adopt during the worst of the pandemic, how they are operating today, and what their plans are for the future. So without further delay, I would like to introduce Debby Krenek. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to the conversation.
We are very excited to have you, and we thank you for participating in this event as well. So I guess let's get right into it. And before we start to talk about Newsday and the pandemic, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you got into journalism and your road to get there.
Okay. Well, I've actually been in it most of my life, which might be hard to believe. But it started, I guess, when I was a kid. I actually loved to write. I would write poems and stories and, all through grade school, even with crayons, I would be writing something. But I never thought about journalism as a profession until, I guess, high school. I actually was trying to get into a typing course because I thought I needed to learn to type to be able to write my stories better. As it turned out, typing was a hot topic, so I couldn't get into that class, and I actually got into a journalism class. And it turned out I really loved it. And I started interning for the local paper. I'm from Texas, so it was a small town paper of about 12,000 people in the town. I became editor of the high school paper, and I went to college and studied journalism as well and became editor of the college paper. But I think when I really knew that I was hooked was one summer when I was interning at my local paper. And that paper had just one reporter, and it was a woman. She was probably in her 60s. She'd been at the paper forever, knew everything, seen it all. And I was like this really green reporter that had come in, and they'd sent me out to cover City Hall, cover a meeting. I came back, I wrote my story. She took one look at it and kind of ripped it up and said, "Go back, you need to get this, you need to get that." And so I rewrote my story. And, this kind of went on and on all summer long. But I have to tell you that she really taught me how to be a really good reporter, how you have to get all the details, all the sides. And I was really kind of drawn by, to tell people stories. And then really, as I moved on a little bit, getting into investigative reporting, especially on the local level, because that's like so important to, really look into things and find wrongdoing and, be able to help communities bring change. So that's kind of my story. And I moved from Texas to New York back in 1987 and went to work for the Daily News and then Newsday. So that's how I got here.
Wow. That was going to be my next question when you mentioned that you were from Texas. I wanted to know, just out of curiosity, how long it's been since you've moved here. And it's funny because you could hear in your accent, you still have your Texas accent a little bit, but it's kind of blended in with the New York, Long Island accent. So it's kind of a mesh between both. That's great. So let's move on and talk about technology. In the old days, you waited for the Newsday to get delivered, whether it was the postman, the local bicycle kid who was throwing it out into the front porch. and you read it during your morning coffee. You were able to catch up on news, business, and sports. I was always kind of the one that started from the back page, working my way forward with sports. And you fast forward to present times, news is forever breaking by the second on all kinds of different platforms. So how does Newsday handle or did handle that type of transition from then and where they are today?
So I would say at Newsday, we actually love technology. So we're not just a paper, and we haven't been for a long time. Although, sometimes when we do focus groups, when we ask people like, what do you think when you think about Newsday? It's our newspaper. So you can see that it takes a long time to change people's impressions of, all the things that you do. But we're on your smartphone, we're on desktop, we're in podcast, we're in your social feed. And now more than ever, we're on your TV. And we're planning to do a lot more of that, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But for those people who do really love holding the print paper in their hand, we're going to continue to do that and make it hopefully one of the smartest and easiest to read papers in the country. I'm really proud of all of our journalists here at Newsday. I think that, our strong reporting and watchdog journalism is something that we continue to be known for. But the bottom line is it's all about the content and what we're bringing you, but that we can bring it to you on any platform. What has changed, though, is how we work. And so you're right about that it is quite different. It used to be that you had sort of all day to report a story and you'd work on it and refine it, get it. The deadline was in the evening and you get in the paper for the next day. But digital totally changed all that.
It's quickly, who's getting it out there first?
Yeah, that's why, you see everybody sort of running around all the time, but it's quite exhilarating and very interesting and a lot of fun. We really don't have the luxury anymore because people, want to hear news as soon as it happens. And, they might want it in a phone alert. They might want it to come through their social feed. They might be, coming to our apps or our other digital products. But we have to be ready to give people what they want, like every single second. And so, now with the addition of our TV studio, we're actually, out on the scene. We're able to show you and through video what happened as well. And we know also that, and you'll be seeing more of this from us, that they're really engaging ways to tell stories in digital. So, it's not just the story. You can put interactive data in there and moving images and, quotes and polls that people can take. And they're just all kinds of things that you can do to, tell the story and bring it alive and give people a lot of different entry points into that story, depending on what their interests are. So it is quite different. We're on a very fast pace. So when you see reporters or editors, they're always moving. But I think, like if you look out in the world and all the sites that people can go to and all that sort of stuff, it's really imperative for us to be there first with the right information and information that people can trust. So that's what we try to do.
I tell you, one of my favorite features, especially when I go to the website, is the fact how you can actually open like the actual digital hard copy of the newspaper itself. And I don't know why I always gravitate to that. And you could always, flip the pages. And then when you have interest on that specific story, you could just click on it and then it'll expand specifically to that story. And then you could just exit and go back. And I feel like I'm actually just physically going through the paper. So I really, really like that option. And kudos to the entire team that you have there. All the journalists, they are great. They do a fantastic job. We know some of them personally here at the LIA. Others we don't know, but you can see their body of work. And when you read the material, it's outstanding stuff that they do. So I applaud, everybody and all the journalists there at Newsday that they do a great job. So moving on, talk to us about Newsday as a place to work, and then talk about you coming up through the ranks at Newsday, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. So I might answer that a little bit in reverse because it's a little bit easier. But so I came to Newsday, I guess, um, well, I came to New York in 1987, as I had said before, and I went to work at the New York Daily News in the city. My husband had gotten a job at the New York Times, and so we moved to New York, and I had gotten a job at the Daily News. I'd never been to New York in my life. I don't even think I knew that the city had 5 boroughs, so it was quite an adventure for me. Now I consider myself a New Yorker, Long Islander, and I've been here a long time. So even though I have a Texas accent, my heart is here. During that time, we also did local news coverage, won a lot of awards, and I kind of grew up there and thought I would never, find a place like the Daily News that tugged at my heartstrings. But I have to say that I left Daily News, came to Newsday, and I started out really in digital. So many of you know Howie Schneider. He brought me over here to start a digital website for New York City, and also come out to Long Island and run the website out on Long Island. So it was a really interesting transition and kind of a sweet spot for me because I love digital. I've loved it. I got into it right at the .com crash, so that was probably not a smart move. But I have always loved it and been really interested in all the ways you can tell stories about that. But when I got to Newsday, I have to tell you, I didn't know how long I would stay in Long Island, but Newsday is an incredible place, and it really has done it. It not only tugged at my heartstrings, but it's just so much more. It has this incredible connection with the community that I don't see in other local papers, any of them that I've worked for. It's like sort of this glue that helps unite Long Island. And, I take phone calls from a lot of people, and, every single day, people wanting to talk to me about coverage or about something about Newsday. And I think people feel like, they're invested in Newsday. So when I came here, again, as I said, I was in digital at a time where digital was not, the thing. So it was kind of interesting trying to get people to really, think about digital, grow digital. So it was a challenge. But it gave me an opportunity to really do a lot of things and learn as I went along. And I had some great mentors here over the years. Howie was one of them, Tony Marrow, a tremendous, editor, and a newsroom full, again, of tremendous editors and journalists. And so it was, I've been here what now? I've been here 20 years at Newsday. I really love it. And we have a wonderful owner in Pat Dolan, who I know you all know, who is also a journalist and, cares very deeply about Long Island and about Newsday and about bringing the best coverage and, is really helping spearhead our video opportunities. It's really the people. I've never seen a more passionate or dedicated group. But, I've had a lot of opportunities. I got to, sort of work in the business side during the digital time, working with the Tribune and learning how to, make digital grow. I got to be editor of a tremendous staff, and now I'm publisher. And I take that all very seriously. It's a challenging time for media, but I think Newsday is, moving forward into the future, and we feel very good about that. I think I talked to this group or part of this group a little bit before, a couple of years ago. Pat and I did.
Yes.
And we're on, we're executing on all the things that, we sort of talked about before. So that's my story.
Well, it's funny because I think, especially during the past year or so, I think the digital side of things, people really grabbed hold of tightly because there was a lot of uncertainty. There's no doubt about it. And especially the platform that Newsday had put together early on midsummer, with the Newsday live events, again, was tremendous. It was tremendous. It was information that was getting out accordingly on a weekly basis when everybody knew nothing. It was still so much uncertainty from an individual as well as from a business. But you guys and your team put these webinars together on a weekly basis, really to educate those who are individuals, to educate the business owners, to partner with SBA and to partner with us as well to assist you in getting that information out. I don't know where people would be without your team and that information accordingly. So again, I applaud everything that you guys have done, which then leads me into 2020, as it brought many challenges, and it kind of happened overnight. I believe right at that time where Newsday had opened the new state of the art headquarters, as a matter of fact. So how did Newsday handle this situation?
Well, first off, I want to say thanks, Dave, for all those kind words. You have no idea how much that means to all of us at Newsday. That was something that was really important to us to, get out and help Long Island. And honestly, you all were a big part of that. And I want to talk about that a little bit more. When the pandemic hit, it was interesting because we had just moved into our new headquarters, and a few of you have seen it, but it's we were very excited about the new space and the studio and all of that sort of thing. And I think employees were like just getting comfortable in their new surroundings here. And then COVID hit, right? And so the most important thing before anything to us was the two things actually. The health of our employees. We wanted to make sure that everybody was safe and sound and could continue to, bring the news in that kind of environment. So we got the entire, staff to work remotely, probably within the space of 2 or 3 days. And we have, almost 600 employees. So that was no small feat.
No, that's a challenge in itself.
Everyone has done that and has done it, really smoothly. So it's really kind of interesting. One thing that I would say about that. So we're all sitting here on Zoom, right? And we're all kind of probably zoomed out for that year and a half. But, in the beginning, we didn't know from Zoom. We used to do most of our stuff on, a telephone call, right? Or a conference call.
Yeah.
When Newsday Live came about, we basically said, you know what, we need to do events. How are we going to do that? We had to go out and look for a platform and turn that around in like a day and figure out how to work it. It wasn't Zoom, it was a different one, but they all kind of work the same.
Yeah.
But it's, again, everybody had to do that. It's amazing how the pandemic has kind of probably really sped up some of the things that, eventually were going to happen to all businesses anyway. But it did happen fast, and there wasn't really a playbook to go by, as you all know and have dealt with. So we were kind of, I guess, as a news organization, we felt like things were unfolding really rapidly, and it was really important for us to tell people what was going on. There wasn't a lot of information. Even like the numbers of cases and all of those kinds of things in the early days were, not easy to come by. And Newsday and the Newsday newsroom fought very hard to get access to those numbers and bring them out in very usable format, a data format, so that people could see day in and day out what was going on in Nassau and eventually, in their towns and things like that. We really took it so seriously we put so many people on COVID from the staff because we just felt like there were so many questions. People needed answers continuously. That is what spawned Newsday Live. And it happened I think over a weekend, I reached out to Kevin in the LIA and said, a lot of people looking for answers to, things like how to keep their business going and, how do I get a PPP loan and all that kind of stuff. So we did spin up the Newsday Live business series, which was incredibly successful. I think, one of the most gratifying things to me again was I got so many phone calls from people saying, this has helped me so much. And, I feel so alone in this. And, this has created a community that, I feel a part of. And even some that have said, I've never been a Newsday subscriber, but I decided after attending your event, I'm going to subscribe, which I loved. And that was great too. So, but that was really important to us. We worked hard to help businesses on Long Island by, creating sort of advertising, what do you call them, billboards that, message boards that people could put up information on to say, hey, I've got food or I'm open or this or that, or, some people needed things, some people had things. So trying to connect those people, also incredibly important. So that's, that was really important to us. And I think, it's still, even though, there are many more, we have many more answers and we know where this is going, we think, but every single day, it seems like there's something new. And so we just want to make sure that's our number one goal, is to make sure that we are letting Long Islanders know as best we can what is going on and how to deal with that.
And you guys did it extremely well. And Newsday Live is more than just general information. I noticed that you have you transitioned over to some Newsday Live concerts as well and things of that nature, correct?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So after what happened was after the business webinars, and we now, I guess, have started to transition. At first it was a webinar, then it became a virtual event as we started to bring in, video within the webinars and, kind of produce it more like a television show so we could stream it on the website. But then what we figured out was people were also asking questions, health questions that they couldn't get answered.
Yeah.
And so, we started finding experts on Long Island. We even had Dr. Fauci on at one point. And, I think the thing that, really kind of makes Newsday Live is that Long Islanders get to ask their personal questions and they get answers by experts that they probably don't have access to in any other way. And so, I think that it does create that community. I think that, so then we found, a lot of success again with in health and a lot of questions in education. So we rolled on to schools and, people were worried about their kids and could they go to school? Could they go to day camp? All those kind of things. Could they go to summer camp? So we did the same thing there. And then we also did bring in, so we brought in music. We had interviews with musicians, for a lot of famous ones out on Long Island. And they did, they played some songs and, kind of talked to some of our reporters. And we also did author series. So, and we're expanding it even more now. So we have had a lot of interest in esports. So we're going to be rolling out a series on esports. We just did one on home buying for first-time home buyers. So I think what we're finding is that we really are creating this community, and it is kind of an interesting thing. We do an audience tracker every quarter. And so we do follow our net promoter score, and that's, how people feel about your brand and how loyal, they are to your brand. And anything above 0 is good, but anything around 70 is like world class. And these events average 67, and many of them, individual ones tip into the 80s and 90s. So we know that we're hitting a need on Long Island, and that makes us really happy. So,
Yeah, what drew my attention, like I said, one day I was flipping through the paper and so I grew up in the 80s and I listened to a lot of hip hop and stuff like that in the 80s. And I noticed one time I'm looking through the papers and you had DMC from Run DMC. And I was like, holy crap, like this is amazing. And that's when I started to learn more about that part of Newsday Live because I was just always accustomed to the part of getting the information out accordingly, and then started to notice how it was just expanding. And again, another great, part of Newsday as a whole organization, for the Long Island region is great. So let's move on. Newsday has been a solid community partner to Long Island for many years. So tell us about some of the past events, partnerships, and do you see anything towards the tail end of this year or future engagements in the community through Newsday?
Sure. So I think Newsday has had a long history of being a part of a lot of the big community events around Long Island, like the Beth Page Air Show, Jones Beach Fireworks, the Oyster Festival, Huntington Fall Festival, to name a few. I mean, I think we see that as a very important part of what we do, is to be a good partner to Long Island. And so we also recognize that there's a lot of growth in different communities across Long Island, and we're really working hard to understand, the needs of those communities. We're doing a lot of individual meetings and forums where, all of us attend with groups like the American Indians and Minority and Millennials, and because Long Island's a very diverse place, and we want to make sure that we understand everybody's issues and everybody's needs and what they need to know. So that's kind of a continual, journey of growth for us. We're also incredibly proud of what Newsday Charities does around the community. I think, particularly, during the pandemic, we had sort of rallied around, all of the community rallied around, helping businesses and people on Long Island, and people donated more than $300,000 to Newsday Charities, which we distributed to food banks and different things. We make a lot of grants through Newsday Charities to specific programs in the areas of hunger and homelessness, abuse, and education. Also something that is really important to us. So, that we see that as a critical part of our mission, as being, part of the community.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so let's move on. So as you secure a seat on the LIA board of directors, which happens to be a board where we have 20 women who actually secure seats. So shout out to all the ladies that sit on the board of directors here at the LIA. Newsday has been a strong supporter of our past and current programs. Can you talk a bit about the relationship between the two organizations?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I mean, first and foremost, I heartily agree with you. There are some tremendous board member. The board is incredible, and I think I joined the board. Gosh, when was it? 2018, I think. And I think the first day I walked in the door, I didn't know many of you, and it was a little scary. However, I feel like I know so many of you now, and what the board has done is it really, I feel like I can reach out to people on the board and get answers to things. And I think the board, or the LIA in general, has done so much for Long Island. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kevin Law, who has been an incredible friend, and we've worked together on a lot of things. Again, we talked about the Newsday Lives and the virtual events, which were keenly important. But we've also, we do other things. We did actually help produce the LIA Gala
Yep.
not that long ago. And, you know, the LIA has supported Newsday many a time when we've needed information or, you know, with Next LI, wanting to, you know, be able to get our information out to a lot of people on Long Island. So I think the LIA is tremendous. And I think, you know, you can see over, you know, the years, all the contributions to Long Island and, you know, particularly during the pandemic, you know, there was so much work done there. So I couldn't say enough about the LIA. I think it's really a tremendous organization and very proud to be a part of it.
Awesome. We thank you for being a part of it as well. And you know, you hit the nail right on the head. I'm going in my 5th year here at the LIA. And when I first joined the organization and started to become surrounded by some of those who sit on the board of directors, for me personally, I guess similar to you, it was a little intimidating for me. However, we're all just people. They're all just people, and they're so kind and they're so generous, and they were always, you know, welcoming me in and always saying, "Hey, Dave, if there's anything that you need, you know, let us know." You know, our board chair, Larry Waldman, is great and has been the chair for years, and is, you know, like you said, with Kevin at the helm at the time, and it's just great. I'm just extremely happy to be part of the organization. So now, for the sake of time, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So tell me a little bit about the future. What does the future hold for Newsday?
So we have talked about some of it, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the new things that we're doing, I think. So we are moving heavily into video. I think we mentioned that a couple of years ago when we talked to you guys, but we have completed the construction on our 2 new studios. We actually launched in our first studio on election night, where we did some live streaming of election coverage back in November. And now what we're calling Studio 2, which is kind of the multimedia space that seats about 186 people, where we can do live shows. So we're going to do some live music shows. So stay tuned, Dave. You should definitely come to those. But we're really looking forward to being able to bring people in and, you know, not have to do everything virtually, because we miss seeing everyone. So that, I think, is, you know, we're targeting new audiences through that. You know, I think there's an interesting stat that in our last tracker that I didn't mention, which is we're growing digital subscriptions at a fairly fast clip since the last time we talked, and about 60% of those digital subscribers have never had a relationship with Newsday before. So we're very excited about that. We think that, you know, we've been trying to reach new audiences. We think that we are doing that. We think the Newsday Lives help with that. We think that, you know, some of the video things that we're doing help with that. You know, we've created a bunch of new shows out of the studio. We have a high school sports show that runs every Monday with Greg Sarah, and they do a terrific job talking to a lot of the players around the island and some really great stories. We also have a segment called The Buzz, which is focused on Long Island entertainment and Long Island celebrities, and that also runs once a week, later in the week. And we're also rolling out something called Newsday Productions, which is our full service business to business video production service, and helping advertisers to get their message out. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. So yeah, I have to hang on one second. I just need to show the share screen. Okay, I just want to show you a little clip about Newsday Productions, if I can. Okay, can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay, let me drag it back and start it over.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're very excited about that. We've done 3 so far, including one for the LIA, and I think we think that this will be sort of a key part of growing our business. We are also working on a data business for Long Island. So there's a lot of data. People need data for their businesses. Imagine if you're starting up a business and you might want to know all about the LIRR and how many people stop at a certain place at a certain time. So we have a lot of data here at Newsday, and we want to find ways to share that with everyone. And so that's something that we hope will be coming in 2022. And happy to talk more about that at some point in time. We also we're trying to change ourselves in terms of a brand from being just a product brand to a brand that's embedded in culture. Because I think, when you think about all the beloved brands around like Nike and, I don't know if Airbnb is beloved, but the ones that gravitate toward it. People really, I think we find that, people, it's about when they love a company, it's also about the culture of that company and what that company stands for. And that, that's very important to us. So that's something that we've been spending a lot of time on. Again, Newsday Live is a big part of that. So I guess, the bottom line is that I feel really confident about the future for Newsday. That doesn't mean it won't be without more change and more transition. As you know, the industry is moving from a model that was heavily supported by advertising to one that's primarily now supported by subscriptions, along with some advertising. I mentioned that we see digital subscriptions growing, very quickly, probably more quickly than we expected. But we know that we have a really loyal print audience, and we want to continue to super serve that audience as we continue to transition. We're made a big bet on video, which I talked about, and we are going to continue to grow in that area. We are seeing people watching our videos. It's really interesting. We've done focus groups. Again, many people get their news from video, so that we think that's a good future for us. I also just wanted to say again, I am so proud of our award-winning journalists. I just can't say enough about the team here at Newsday. So I think there are always going to be some things that remain true for Newsday, no matter how much we change. And that is really our core value of staying grounded in the tradition of great journalism and our commitment to Long Island. So I thank you for asking that question and for being able to be here.
Listen, you could see from the video and all the information that you provided, it's not your grandparents' Newsday any longer, although the core values, like you mentioned, are still there because that's what the foundation of the organization was built on. But you've come so much forward and are continuing to grow as an organization. it's just amazing. And the fact that you're here on Long Island, one of the things that we always here at the LIA advocate for is Long Island, keeping things here on Long Island, building here on Long Island. And I want to thank you first and foremost for taking the time out of your day to play the role in this today. You made it so much easy for me. You're a pleasure to sit and talk to. I really can't thank you enough. Pat Dolan, I want to extend my thanks to as well. Because the partnership between the two is just huge, and everything that you guys do on Long Island. So thank you so much. And I just wanted to end the event by just letting everybody know we have a few more upcoming events that you want to register for. If you just head over to longislandassociation.org, you click on the event calendar, you'll be able to see a lot of the upcoming events. You can register there accordingly. But on that note, once again, Debbie, thank you so much for being a part of the event today. It really means a lot to me. It means a lot to the LIA, the board of directors. And I hope you have an enjoyable day.
Thank you so much, Dave. And thank you, Larry, and everybody at the LIA. Again, I appreciate so much your partnership, and it's tremendous. And I enjoyed today. So
Me too. I really did. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.